I'll zoom up on it. There's Bryn Jones. Well, keeping Mrs. Jones company. And the milk, I've got the milk packet too. So, now, how about you telling me again about the Eleanor's photos? It was 4 people, you said. Judith and Eleanor and me
and
Jessamine
standing in a row. And she's got one. She didn't show me. It didn't have it today, but she's got one. Judy and Lehman Lewis and her and Travis Boyd standing in a row.
Lehman, I've forgotten him.
And she's got an enormous one of this, must have been a coming out ball, I think. And there are all the girls in Keith, you'd know them, the Hender girls, and I can't remember all of them, Dulcie Macon. Because it's a big photograph, but they're all pretty unrecognisable because they're so tiny. That you can pick out a few. Dorothy Hender.
I wonder what's happened to all those people. Have you had any news of Dorothy or Joan Hender?
Yes, well, funnily enough, a man that lives back to back with Ruth is a photographer, and he's some relation, I think, to Dorothy's husband. And they come to Melbourne and stay there, and Ruth has met up with Dorothy in the last year or two.
Does she?
So she does vaguely correspond with Joan because they were contemporaries.
Well, did Joan stay married to that, was it Graham Williams she married?
Yes.
Somebody Williams?
Yes, but they moved, they went up to Queensland. And
But both Hender girls have kept their marriages going?
Yes.
Good.
And their children seem to be all right, they're married with families.
What about Charlie? What happened to
He
Charlie?
died.
That was very early to die?
Yes, he did.
Something wrong.
Well, I don't know what he died of, but he did die very suddenly. Because a number of the Hender family have done that, haven't they? Died very suddenly.
I don't know, remember them enough. I only remember Charlie and Joan.
And of course Mrs. Hender was quite young by our standards. Mrs. Trowbridge, I mean.
Yes.
But anyhow, Charlie died. And his son took over the property.
Yes. Speaking of
He
Trowbridges...
had 2 little girls as well. Of course, they're all grown up.
Yes. It's so hard to realise that they're all grown up.
Yes.
It must be harder still for you to realise that a third generation away has grown up.
Yes. Well, Ruth always kept in touch with Molly Trowbridge, and that told us all the local news because Molly was so bright. You know, she died.
No, I didn't.
Oh, she
Molly?
Molly Trowbridge.
Doesn't seem long since Mother and I went into the Pagoda restaurant in Adelaide to eat, and there was Molly and her grandchildren.
Yes.
And she said, "You have got to be Mrs. Mosley and Claire." She said, "I remember." And we didn't recognise her.
She was always the same, as bright as could be. And you remember that one boy was called Bob, and he married an English girl, and he was coming out to see her, but I think he was coming out to see Pat. Pat was more or less on the last leave, but I think he arrived in time to see Molly, but not Pat. Pat died, of course.
Yeah.
But,
Pat
was the eldest.
Pat Trowbridge was Pat Morgan. She married Doug Morgan?
Yes, Doug Morgan.
I didn't know she died either.
Well, of course, she would have been getting on a bit, and Molly would have been about 73,
I suppose. I forget how old I am. I think of them as...
you know my Ruth. Do you know what she looks like?
Oh, yes, of course I know your Ruth.
Well, you've seen her.
Often, yes.
Well, she's 70.
Yes, Eleanor told me you were celebrating her 70th.
I can't believe it, and she can't either.
No, I'm sure you can't. You're young Ruth.
But she's not like 70, is she?
No,
not
of course
what I
not.
think of 70.
You're like your age either, nor is Mother.
Well, next
It must be very
Wednesday.
hard to realise your firstborn is 70 because she's your little child, isn't she?
Well, Alison said she never sees anybody in the street that's her age. She says that she sees people that are younger and people that are older, but she never sees anybody her own age.
Why is that? Does one not recognise one's own age?
Well, we
Is
wouldn't
that it?
recognise them, would we?
I see. Is that it?
No.
Mm.